All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Wine Women and Words. I am Michelle, of course. I don't know what that was. I am Michelle, and with me, of course, is Diana.
Hello.
And that is just like really kicks us off very nicely for, I think, the next hour. And we have author Breanne Randall with us. Of course, we are going to be talking about the unfortunate side effects of heartbreak and magic. And thank you so much for setting aside some of your evening to come nerd out with us.
It is my pleasure, and I have been looking forward to this for a very long time. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like I need to point one thing out because for the longest time when I've been like looking it up and everything, I totally missed Heartbreak and Magic. I was just Heartbreak Magic was just I mean they both work, but I was like, oh, there's an and in there.
Every time I do speak to text on my phone, it types it out as the unfortunate side effects of heartbreaking magic, and I was like, that's almost better. I don't know. I could have gone with that. I'm still shocked the publisher kept the name. It's the longest name in the history of books. Okay, it's so long.
Titles are one of our favorite conversations. The evolution of titles can be like sometimes you stick with the title that you created. Like Diana stuck with her first title, and
For my
you
first
have
book.
stuck with your first title. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's I don't even honestly, I think it did have a slight variant, like it was a little different in the beginning, and I could not even begin to tell you what that title was because it feels like a different lifetime ago, but I know that this is what it ended up at. So I'm happy. I'm happy with it. 12 words later. Just kidding. One, two,
But it
three,
works. I feel
four,
like
five, six, seven.
Sadie wouldn't. I feel like Sadie wouldn't accept a shorter title. Sadie would be like, "No, this is the full title."
Yeah. Give me what I deserve. After all that you've put me through, okay?
Right? Give her her long title, okay?
Yes.
So I don't even like we have many thoughts
Tell me
and
everything.
many questions, and I don't know. Like, should we just
Let's
jump in?
inspiration. Let's start at the
Okay,
very
okay, we're gonna
beginning.
start at
That's
the
always a
beginning.
good
Okay,
place
I
to
like it. I
start,
like it.
usually. Yeah, it's like a warm-up question. And
Okay, okay. Linear.
yeah.
I like it. I like it. So the inspiration behind writing, like just writing the book.
Yeah, like what made you think of the plot and the story? Like what the first spark?
I was sitting at the Sizzler
Okay.
restaurant. And this is like, I mean, this is 7 years or so ago. And well, I should say between 6 and 7 years ago. And I was sitting there and, I had written 3 books already at that point with no offer of representation from a literary agent. And I, knew that I was wanting to start writing my next book soon. My grandmother had just recently passed away. I grew up living next door to her, first in Tennessee, which is where I'm originally from. And then we moved out to California and she moved with us and a bunch of our other family moved with us. And so my whole life, basically, I just, grew up next door to her, going to her house in the morning for coffee. She would make me breakfast, family dinners every Sunday. She would go grocery shopping or shopping and bring me home, like food or a shirt that she thought I would like, or, just very, very close relationship with her. She was basically my best friend. And she had passed away very suddenly around that time. And I was sitting there at the Sizzler just thinking about all these different things. And I was like, I want to preserve that. Like, I want to bring her into a story. Um, and so that kind of was the ab initio, the beginning of the book. And then it steamrolled from there. I knew, of course, I wanted magic. I knew there had to be baking and cooking and recipes. I knew I wanted, a small town. It's inspired completely by where I live. And so it just kind of steamrolled into this thing. And it was, I talk about this a little bit on my social media, but it really was a way for me to process through the grief of losing her, and kind of preserving her memory through the pages.
Mhm.
I love that.
Michelle.
I, was just thinking because I didn't have a very close relationship with any of my grandparents.
Okay.
And while I was reading it, I thought, like, I mean, for geographic reasons, like two of
Yeah.
them lived in a different country and two of them lived across this country. So, yeah, or one of them, and then the other one passed away before I was born. So definitely
Yeah.
wasn't able to have a relationship with her. But I love the idea of growing up and having that close relationship with your grandma. I think it sounds so special
It
to
is.
have that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the best to put it, simply.
I was one of those. I was very, very close with my grandmother. Like I mean, we were so close that we would bicker with each other and we were sounding a lot alike.
Yeah.
Where my mother would just have to be like, I've got to go in the other room. I just can't.
That is awesome.
Yes, and I love the baking in the book too, and I love that you bring that baking, and I love stories that have food in them as a part of the story. Especially because my grandmother was an amazing baker. I mean, her cinnamon rolls
Yes.
for years
Awesome.
after she died, I had her cinnamon rolls. They were basically mummified in the freezer because I was too afraid to, like, they were her last cinnamon rolls. I didn't want to eat them. And my husband was cleaning out the freezer and he was like, honey, I know you love her so much. And I know you love her cinnamon rolls because they were so important to you and the family, but they've mummified now. He's like, honey, we can't keep
These are
them in
now
the
an
freezer
offering.
so I had to say goodbye to these cinnamon rolls.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a huge part of it, because food is so emotional and it makes those connections and builds the memories. And when you smell cinnamon rolls, you probably think of your grandma, and that I love that.
So for you, I know we're jumping around, Michelle, so hopefully I don't mess
It's
up.
fine. It's fine.
Okay, all right. So
First, this is my third glasses adjustment. I'm going to keep count for a super serious podcast. It's 3.
all right.
I need glasses.
Well, I love getting into the food discussion because in many ways it does, I feel, a dual purpose within a book itself, where it can push the plot along, and it can also be a mechanism for exploring emotions and even socioeconomic things and whatnot. And I'm losing my words here, so I'm just going to get straight to the question. How was it that you were able to utilize the recipes in your book to help move things along for you?
Okay, so that's so funny that you say that, because I was and I think this was from a Facebook writing group or something that I was a part of, and somebody was asking the question about a scene where, like, a family is having dinner or something, and she was like, nobody wants to read about people eating, so how do I make this move the plot along or whatever, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, well, depends on your audience. Because like, if it's done well, and if it's done in an intriguing way, I really love, obviously, symbolism. And so that's why everything has meaning. All the food and everything, desserts, has a meaning and a purpose. And so I think that's probably really one of the main things that helped move it along, because, it's not just a cinnamon roll. It's not just a pie. It's not just fried chicken. Everything has kind of a meaning or a purpose to push the narrative hopefully in the right direction. So I think that's probably the main reason. And I was talking to an editor a little bit ago, and saying, because my next book also has recipes in it, and food is a huge part of it. And I think that'll just be forever. Like, that will be part of, at least in some manner, part of my books, because it just brings people together. And I love sharing recipes. I love sharing food. I love sharing the symbolism, because I've spent 7 years researching all the different symbolism and cultural aspects and all that kind of stuff for the food and spices and all that.
That was actually one of my questions, and I'm so glad you said the word symbolism because I kept writing meanings slash representations, and I couldn't think of the word symbolism.
But those
So
work too. Those
thank
totally
you for
work.
that. I was writing them like that's not right. I'm not thinking of the right word.
We need to have a Boondock Saints moment.
Yes.
Oh,
What is
Symbolism.
the symbology?
symbology. Oh my gosh, it makes that reference makes me literally so happy. You don't even know.
What is
Why
the
don't you make like a tree and
symbolism?
get the fuck out of here?
We'll be talking about rope next.
Okay, you two are officially my favorite.
I
Oh,
was just watching complete side tangent number one. I was just watching the Daryl Dixon spinoff, the season finale last night, and I was like, I remember when he was in Boondock Saints. He was like a baby back then.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was so long ago.
Total
But
baby.
anyway.
I straight up, I mean, this was back in the day where like the internet was not clearly what it is now. And I scoured the internet to find the rosaries, like the giant cross
yes.
rosaries that they had. And yes, I absolutely
Yes. You know, you don't get to bring up Boondock Saints in many conversations these days.
I'm
So
proud of
thank you
myself
for
that I was
that.
able to do that. Yeah.
impressive.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
PR, take that.
I'm a professional, you know.
So what was it like to research? My question was, were all of the was all the symbolism behind all of the ingredients and all the spices and all of that, was that real, or was that something that you created for Sadie's world?
It's all legit. It's all legit. And there, you know, of course, there's different symbolism, symbolism and meanings from different cultures and different places and stuff like that. So it might shift from time to time, you know, where ginger might mean one thing to this culture and another to that one. But it's all, yeah, it's all legit. I mean, this started for me when I was a teenager, a young teenager. I found a book on the symbolism of flowers, and that was basically it for me. It was like, yes, give me more of that.
Was that like a little nod to your teenage self when Sadie got that book at the beginning of the story?
Yeah, totally. Like I would have died to have had that. But I mean, the way I picture it in my head, you know, where it's like all these beautiful illustrations, and yeah, totally, I would have loved that.
With like the clear paper in between.
Yes.
Yes, I see it in my mind.
Totally. And that's what, you know, one of my long-term goals is to be able to make like a cookbook with all the recipes from the different books that I will one day write.
So I was reading this book and listening to it. I was switching off between the audiobook and the physical book.
Impressive.
And it's the first time I've tried that, like for a long-term experience, and it's very fun.
Okay.
But I loved in the audiobook, Gigi's voice read the recipes.
Oh, okay. I'll be totally honest that I haven't. I chose the narrator though, basically for the reason that I loved her Gigi voice. That makes me really happy.
It's really nice. It's like you're reading Gigi's recipe book, and she's like giving you advice, like, you know, it'll knock some sense into these, you know, these little pissants who aren't, you know, like talking to each other right now, or whatever the case was. I thought that was really sweet.
That is so great. And because, you know, I had some reviewers early, I stopped reading reviews after a while.
Good idea.
Yeah, when I was reading reviews, several of them mentioned, you know, the grandma, I can't believe the grandma talks like that to her kids, and, you know, blah, 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 or to her grandkids. And I think it's a generational thing. So I think, you know, a younger person who's reading it, who doesn't have a grandmother who was born in, my grandma was born in 1929. So I think it's just a kind of a generational gap thing where it's not all, but I think it was a harder time, obviously. And so that was just how she talked. I mean, literally, she was on her deathbed, my grandma, and she was in and out of consciousness, and she would wake up and her eyes would clear and she would look at me and she'd go, "Hi, Toot." It was just, that was like, I mean, yeah. So it was to her dying day. That was just the way she talked. So had to include it in there for historical accuracy.
No, Gigi was such a fun character to read. And plus, I mean, she had to raise twins on her own after raising 5 kids. So, she's entitled to
Yes.
her snarkiness, I feel like.
You talk however you want, Gigi.
Right?
My husband's grandmother, she lived to be about 98 years old, and a woman at one point, I want to say she was his grandmother was in her 80s, and she was told the secret to long life is to be crankier as you get older.
Oh,
yes, and so she let herself get
I'm gonna die
super
young.
cranky by the end. And it was grandma's way or the highway. That was just like always the rule.
That's hilarious. I'm screwed.
I don't know. I'm
days
looking forward to my grandma days, that grandma era. I started now.
Listen, one of my lifelong long-term goals is to be like the very strange old lady who walks around with like candy in her pockets to give out to like children, or like, flowers that she just randomly gives. I want to wear all black, with some witch boots, have crazy hair. I already got that one. So it's not too far off.
I look forward
It's important to have goals.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, exactly.
Goals are important. I plan on being eccentric and maybe a little on the cranky side, but they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's a crazy writer. That's you can explain it."
Yes.
She's a writer.
She's a writer, guys.
I feel like that just covers a multitude of sins, so we're golden.
I mean, I don't know if, well, actually, maybe. One of our super fun questions is your Google search history, because some writers have a Google search history that should like land them on some watch lists, depending on what kind of book they're writing.
Straight up, there have been so many times. Well, first of all, some of it is just my brain. Like I've literally like, do ants sleep? Stuff like that, where I'm like, what? Why do you care? First of all,
now I want to know, do they sleep?
I don't remember the answer because I searched at 3 a.m.
Are you gonna look it up for me, Michelle? Because now I need to know.
I need
That's a great question.
Do ants sleep? Not
I feel like
the sleep.
Answer is possibly
they
no.
sure do. That's the word. They sure do.
Apparently not in my house.
I know, right? Seriously. Yeah,
busy worker ants take hundreds of short power naps, and queen fire ants take long, deep sleeps. So I am clearly a worker ant.
This is
not the queen.
I'm all same. I had about an hour and a half nap earlier today, as a matter of fact. It's like, see you guys later.
Log your queen fire ant sleep time.
Exactly, precisely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think for the most part, it's just really weird, random stuff. But I'm also writing a young adult high fantasy series, and that typically is those are a little more questionable, weapons and what can kill and all this kind of stuff. So
that is my world. I'm very excited about that.
Oh, I am beyond excited. So I'm writing it with my best friend, and he's also signed with my literary agent. And it's predicated on this. I'm just gonna give you my spiel real quick because I'm just so excited about it. it's predicated on this idea that all the gods and goddesses throughout, Earth's history were actually fae who instituted themselves as gods because the worship fueled their magic and their power. And then after a war with the witches of Earth, they were banished back to their realm. And so that's where kind of the story starts. And there's all the old gods from different pantheons, and it's very expansive. And I'm just very excited about it.
Oh, I am all about that. So yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, super pumped. It's so fun
So
to
yeah,
write.
I would imagine that results in some interesting Google searches.
Questionable search history. Ma'am,
I
why do you
think
need to know how to murder a person with a spoon? I don't know. Random.
what was the one that you had, Diana? Like where to stab someone that
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
kill them or something?
Yeah, how to kill them properly without it making too much noise, and how much blood would be involved. And I was researching it. My brother is in medical school, and so it was like maybe 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, hey, baby bro, I got a question for you. And he and I texted back and forth, working out how to properly murder, where they needed to be stabbed to cause the most blood without it being like squirty blood.
Yes.
And yet also
It's a technical term for it, right?
Squirty blood.
Squirty blood.
Yeah, I mean, there's Quentin Tarantino blood, which is squirty blood, and then there's your
Yes.
your standard,
Precisely.
yeah.
Oh, that is
And
epic.
everything else, really, what it comes down to, Tarantino blood, and like, which is squirty blood, and like normal
Everything
normal
else.
blood. Yeah.
Just a regular murder, not a Quentin Tarantino.
Exactly. And
Quentin
I needed
Tarantino.
them not to be able to call out while it was
Oh,
happening.
okay.
Yeah, so that
I love the details. I mean, that is fantastic.
Yeah, and the fact that my brother and I were just like, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and work this out with no questions asked, no issues. I know now that if I need somebody to help me bury a body, my brother's going to be like one of the first people I call.
One.
Yeah, he's the one.
You know what I would love is a book where a writer is searching things like this, okay? And then murders start popping up around the author where they're being killed the way that they're researching how to kill somebody. And it's like somebody targeting them for, some reason or another. Oh, that would be epic.
Like, no, it's for research, I swear.
These authors, they don't like cover their tracks when they do these murders, because you've heard of these murders. They're like, there was a woman who she murdered her husband, and then she put it in her book. Like 2 of them have done it. Exactly.
Wait, in real life?
Yeah, in real life. They murdered their husbands in real life, and then they put it in the book first, and then they use that to be able to murder their husbands.
Wow. Okay.
One and actually ended up going out and, like, you can actually look this one up. She went out and did a grief book. And then
I remember that one. I heard about that. It was like a best-selling children's book or something about grief.
Oh my gosh. That is utter madness.
My favorite, though, is the woman who she had it all worked out in her book, and then she goes and kills him the same way she did it in her own book.
I mean, the audacity. Like the steel balls that must have taken.
Right? And I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, it may have worked out where your killer got away with it in your book, but what makes you think that it's going to actually work out for you that way?
That's why it's fiction.
Exactly. And you don't put this stuff in writing.
Yeah, what the hell?
Have you ever not talked to somebody in the legal industry? You do not put anything in writing. Yeah. If you can learn one thing from this podcast,
I know.
Put things in writing.
Listen up.
Hypothetical conversations.
How to get away with murder.
Totally hypothetical.
Unless you're texting your brother in med school about how to stab someone so they can't make a sound.
Without the squirting blood.
Yeah,
without squirty blood. Without regular blood, please.
Yes. No Quentin Tarantino's involved.
Anyway. Reel it back in here. We should have, I think it's at this point, very serious discussion about Jake.
Okay.
Because Jake, I had just read the chapter about Ryan, and
Mhm.
then like, life happened and got in the way of my reading time. It's very rude. And I went back and started reading again, and that's when she met Jake, and I was like, oh my god, she ran into her ex fiance. That's so awkward. And I was like, wait, his name, that wasn't Jake.
Yes, I
It
knew.
was it was. I was like, I was pulling a Jake. I was like, Rob, no, Ryan. Poor Ryan.
Oh, poor Ryan. Poor Ryan. He was madly in love with her. Yeah, Jake's gotten some heat, guys. I won't lie. And I totally respect that because I did not I purposely did not write him where he was going to be this, romance hero, swoony kind of guy because I wanted it to be real. And another piece of feedback or like that I've seen in reviews is, I got so irritated with Raquel or not Raquel, sorry, with Sadie because she kept making the same decision over and over again. Or I didn't like Jake because of this. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. Like, that's exactly what I wanted. Because these are real, excuse me, these are real people. Well, I want them to be like real people, I should say. Where I want it to reflect, yeah, we make stupid
Oh, you can
choices.
say it. It's okay.
Okay, we make dumbass choices. I mean, I remember when I was young, liking a guy, it just very poor decision making. And I continued to put myself in that position because maybe it was lack of self-worth, maybe I was just naive, whatever it may have been. But yeah, he's got some redeeming moments, I think.
He did, okay, so I didn't say this at the beginning, but since this is our book of the month, if you've listened to the podcast before, book of the month spoilers everywhere. So if you haven't finished the book,
Apologies.
pause now.
Yeah.
But he replanted her garden, and that was really sweet. And he let her steal his dog repeatedly without saying anything.
Yes,
Which was
indeed.
also very kind of him because he was a very cute dog.
The cutest. My gosh, chocolate lab puppies forever.
Although when the cat I have lying down on my desk right next to my iPad is my black cat named Chips. So any black cats that pop up in novels, I'm like, oh, kitty.
No, so that was actually my grandma had a black cat named Simon, and we kept him after she passed away, and he died, I think maybe 3 years ago now.
Oh.
But yeah, he was the best. He was the best. The throaty meow. Ow. But yeah, he replanted her garden. He brought her, collected spoons for her. I think he was just so afraid of commitment, afraid of, disappointing her, and that did end up disappointing her multiple times. And I think really, upon reflection, which I didn't intend this, excuse me, my throat. I think that after he, experienced what he did in his job, it almost felt like maybe he didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve the happily ever after. And so he kind of sabotaged himself a little bit. So yeah, but he had some redeeming moments, but he was also a pain in the ass. And he was a lot meaner when I like my agent was like, he's too much of a like you have to tone this down. But he's actually a lot nicer.
I have to say that's one of the best thing about agents, where they're sometimes your first readers, like true readers in the industry. And they're the ones who can give you that honest feedback, because I had a similar one, right? The one that we currently have out in submission, and my agent's like, I'm sorry, I don't like this guy. There's no redeeming qualities. Why is she with him? You've got to make him a little bit nicer.
Yes,
nobody's going to believe that she's with him.
That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it was you're totally 100% spot on, because that was basically the same exact conversation we had. She was like, no, I love my agent. She was like, she's like a superhero to me, and she cracks me up because she'll leave, like edit notes, and she'll just be like, no, all capitals. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, when you get those agents, mine, superhero is spot on with her as well, and they can be. You have this relationship with them. You don't work for them, they don't work for you, but it's a mutual relationship.
Yeah.
And we had a discussion once where I was working on a book and it just wasn't working out, and she was like, and she's like trying to like, it was still really early in our relationship, and she's like trying to dance around. I was like, is it gonna sell or not? Just straight to the point. That's just the way I am. And she was like, no, I don't think it will. I was like, all right, let's go on to the next.
Yes.
Yeah. And
that is freaking epic.
Yeah, you've got to have that no holds barred. This is that like big brother, big sister that you can discuss murder in the middle of the night and nobody's going to judge you. That's the relationship that you should have with your agent.
I totally agree. And I've learned so much just from editing with her, let alone like with an editor at a publishing house. But I mean, she did the same thing with this next book that I'm writing, which is like it's like Charmed meets modern day Pride and Prejudice, with a little bit of like Greek mythology. And the love, there's like the romance is much stronger in this book.
I wish you could see the happy dance that Breanne is doing right now, because
and I'm real excited about it. And the feedback that I've gotten has been very positive. And I describe it as like, he's like Mr. Darcy, but dirtier.
Okay.
It's so bad.
I mean, a lot of us are going to be here
the
for
hand
dirty
flex
Darcy.
there.
Yes,
have the hand. Okay.
100%. Yes. Yes.
It's not Darcy without the hand flex.
Oh man.
No,
yeah. And
not.
he's like before the edit, I had him as like a little aggressive. Mm-hmm. And my agent's like, listen, I don't care if this is their thing, but you just have to make it like a little more like there's consent. And I was like, you got it. I'm on it.
I could make that happen. I saw that movie for the first time not too long ago. Don't. It's been
the one with Keira Knightley
with the hand flex. Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice?
Yeah, I know. I've never seen it. I know. I watched it recently.
I've tried to give you the best of a movie education as possible. So
I've been obsessed with Keira Knightlly.
Sorry. Oh my god. Diana has introduced me to many a classic movie. Mm-hmm. But yes, I just recently watched that Pride and Prejudice for the first time, and we got to the hand flex scene, and I paused it, and I was like, okay. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, watch this scene. And he watched the hand flex, and he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, don't you understand? Don't you get it? It hurts him to touch her hand because he loves her.
It's so good. I love it so much. I've seen the other like renditions of Pride and Prejudice, but like I said, I've been obsessed with Keira Knightley since Bend It Like Beckham. I wanted to be her so badly that I would go around making what my family called a Keira Knightley face, where I would like stick out my chin and like smile. So that's me in a nutshell.
And I know it's kind of controversial for some people, but when it comes to Pride and Prejudice, that is my favorite version.
Oh, same.
One.
Yeah, I love it so much. Mr. Collins, it's like there's a t-shirt, a literal t-shirt that says "What lovely boiled potatoes." And it's been whatever he says since I've had such a fine vegetable. I'm like, I need that.
Perfectly boiled potatoes. I'm like, oh, no.
No, you were the worst, sir.
No. I mean, I'm glad you went on and found happiness, but
no, bad.
Not with Elizabeth.
No, indeed. Oh, good old Liz Bennett.
Wow. How many tangents is that now? Like 3, 4?
I lost track.
We are talking about the book, right? I just want to make sure.
I think so. I don't even know how did we get there? Oh, because then I started talking, agent, and then
Okay, got it. Yes.
I mean,
I
these are
always
good
like-
tangents. I'm enjoying
yes.
these tangents. I mean,
These are literary. We're talking about Pride and Prejudice.
exactly.
It's a
Highbrow
valid tangent.
NPR.
Right. So I do have an interesting question. So, well, I think it's interesting. Maybe it's not. Um, so the story, of course, is through Sadie's eyes. It's through Sadie's perspective. Was there or is there a character that you would love to write from another perspective, or had you thought about writing from another perspective?
I had not thought about writing from another perspective for this. Because, and I say that I wanted to be able to do this like third person kind of like limited omniscient narrative where it could go seamlessly from one character to another. Sarah Addison Allen does this, I think, really, really well in her books. And I do not have that ability because I just simply do not. And so I wanted to do that. And I was like, no, I'm just going to stick with Sadie, but I think Seth would be a super fun character to explore from his POV for sure.
I loved him. I loved Seth.
So much.
He was like, I'm an only child, so I live vicariously through books that have, like, I felt like I had like such a lonely, like I had no relationship with my grandparents.
No siblings.
I have no brothers and sisters. I have a very loving family. I just don't happen to have any brothers or sisters.
Completely understandable. Listen, I was telling my older daughter, she's 10, about this friend of ours who has one child, and she was like, they're an only child. And I was like, yeah, she's lucky then. I'm just going to leave that there for now. We'll revisit that in a few years.
Get the best of both worlds, because I was my mother's only child and I grew up back east, and so I was an only child with her, and then my brother and sister are my half siblings that were out here in California, and they're 12 and 14 years younger than me.
Oh
so
my god,
I have this it's this like weird but interesting dynamic. So I had both worlds, so I still have the only child tendencies,
yes,
but yet also have the eldest sibling tendencies with them, and it's
that
so
is the
weird.
Best of both worlds for sure.
Yeah and we're like, you know what, my husband was the only child, and we're both like, you know what, only child, way to go. We one and done.
I don't disagree. Sorry, youngest child. It's just so hard.
I wanted to, so they would have a brother or sister, and because I wanted a brother or sister, and I was like, you know what? But after like the second one, I was like, all right, that's enough.
That's no more. Yeah,
I like the idea.
My husband was an only child too, and that's why he wanted 2 kids. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. My husband was just like, let's just put all our energy into making like one human the best possible human. Because he loved being an only child. He had no desire for any siblings at all. He was like the one and only in his parents' world. And he was like, I'm good with that. I don't need any siblings. And our kid doesn't need any siblings.
They'll be fine. Yeah. It's really fascinating because I have an older brother. He's 4.5 years older, and we were really close. Like, we were best. People thought we were twins. So like growing up. But we're so obviously vastly like we're so similar in some respects, and then polar opposites and like core who we are. And so it was weird because sometimes it felt like he was an only child, and sometimes it felt like I was an only child, dependent on like our needs and where we were at and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't change it, of course. And I obviously really love both of my children very infinitely. I have a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old, and my 10-year-old from the day she was born has been the easiest, sweetest, most wonderful child. And my 3-year-old is me. So that's fun.
Yes. It's bizarre. That's the same. I have a pause while I try to remember how old my kids are. 9-year-old and an 8-year-old. And my 9-year-old daughter, she is my husband. Like
Mhm.
personality, very I'm starting to shine through a little bit. Like I'm starting to see me in there. But my son, he's me. Like all the
Same,
way, like
same here.
perfectly happy off on his own. He doesn't need to be in a group of friends having fun. He can go off and do his own thing and he's fine. And on the way home today, he likes to read in the car for his reading time because
Mm,
it's about a 20-minute drive home and he has to read for 20 minutes a day. So he'll
nice.
read in the car so he doesn't have to read when he gets home. And he read the newspaper out loud to me on the way home.
That's so cute.
And it was so cute. I was like, "You're 100% my child."
That is awesome. I love that. It's adorable.
And I was like, "How can I wanted to record it, but I was driving. Like, let's get us home safely." But it was
Core
very
memory.
cute.
Yeah, that's so
Yes, absolutely. For me, they may not remember, but it was a core memory for me.
yeah, yeah.
Tangent number 4. We're
Yep, yep,
fine.
yep.
It's
Mhm.
fine.
I love it.
Doing great,
Right
guys.
on track. Right on track for the next one.
Let me just peruse. So, okay, we have to have the debut novel discussion because this is your debut novel. And so this has just been absolutely incredible for you because I've been following your social media in a totally non-creepy way.
Even
I've
if
been
I
I
see
swear
watching
we're
you,
not
you.
stalkers. I swear.
thank you.
So what was your debut week like for you?
Very surreal, very yeah, just absolutely surreal. I think so the book came out September 19th, and then I had two virtual Instagram live events with other authors, and then I had an in-person event at my local Barnes and Noble, and I say local very loosely because it's like 45 minutes away. And then that was, I think, like 5 days after the book came out. And so it was just really strange because, the book comes out and everybody's sharing about it on social media and tagging me in posts and stuff. And I think it wasn't until the book signing event that I was like, oh, this is real. Like, this has actually happened. Because we were driving there as a family, so I live next door we've got like 60 acres in Northern California, and so my parents live here. It's their property, so my parents live here, my grandparents live on the lower property, our family lives here, and my uncle lives here. So it's like a whole thing. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. It's just so fun. But we're driving to the bookstore, and my dad was like, how many people do you think are going to be there? And I was like, 10. Like, I don't maybe, I have no idea. And just totally nervous that people were not going to show up. And then there were a lot of people there, a lot. And it was, the line, we were at the back of the store, and it's a pretty big Barnes and Noble. And when everybody got up to line up, the line was at the door, like the front door. And it was just, I was like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for to make it feel real. So it was just the absolute freaking best. And then my editor called me a week after it came out, and I was just on tenterhooks waiting because my goal from the beginning was to make it onto the New York Times bestseller list. And it was just such a slim chance because they don't typically put authors on the list from small presses. And I was with a small press, or am with a small press. And they did it because I ended up having over 11,000 pre-orders. And plus that counted towards the first week of sales. And so anyway, my editor called me and told me that I hit 2 different New York Times lists and the USA Today bestseller list. And I just bawled.
That's incredible. I would have too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It would have been an eye mask kind of
it was
night.
ugly crying. It was, yeah. And she was at Disney World with her family. So she's like, I'm calling you from the castle. I'm
that
also
is
a
where
Disney
you want-
freak. Like, obviously, I'm wearing a freaking Christmas Mickey shirt in October. So it's like, this is the best day ever.
Oh, I am waiting for November for Halloween is my husband's season. He does Halloween November 1st.
It's all you, baby.
Like, I know, Thanksgiving, the decorations don't go up until the weekend after Thanksgiving, but in spirit, I know I've tried for 10 years. I have tried, but
My
I'm
Christmas
refusing to
decorations are
budge.
already up.
Really?
We did it like 5 days ago because we're leaving November 5th to go down to Southern California for like 2 weeks. And so I was like, I am not waiting because I do a shit ton of work, okay, for Christmas decorations because I'm highly OCD and very type A. So like every available like thing is covered in garland, the tree reaches the ceiling. It's a lot of work. And I'm like, I am not doing that amount of work to have it up for, freaking 4 weeks. No, thank you. So I didn't want to do it when I got home. So I was like, yep, we're doing it now. It's happening.
Yeah, I think
I
we're
can
gonna end up
appreciate
being
that.
early to mid-November for us as well because
Yeah.
we're going away for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And that way, when you get back, you don't have to do the work. It's already done. You get to just plug the lights in and enjoy it. Yeah. Oh, it makes me so happy.
I love Christmas. I enjoy Halloween.
Me too.
And
yeah.
October is by far one of my most favorite months of the year. But I am a Christmas girl.
Yeah.
Too.
Same.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This year, my husband did all the TikTok dollar store Halloween decorations.
Oh, very nice.
And so we have many new decorations that now have to find a home in the garage somewhere.
Yeah, that is
Where
so many.
Where are we going to put this?
So many containers.
And we have this. I'll show you. Pause. We're going on a field trip really quick.
Oh yay!
Field trip. Double guppies.
So we have this Granny
Oh my
Bates.
god!
Oh my gosh!
OMG!
I love this.
And she's right behind the front door.
Wildly
But,
terrifying.
I have been watching, and we put red light bulbs in our porch lights.
Awesome.
So there's like a red glow coming from the front door through the side windows. And I've been rewatching like The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor and all of like those horror series.
Have you watched the House of Usher yet?
Blew through that last week.
Love that one. Okay, sorry.
And every now and then I forget that she's there, and I'll like glance down the hall,
God in heaven!
and I'm like,
nope, hard pass.
No,
no,
ma'am.
It's a no. I have night terrors, like not nightmares, but like clinically like night terrors. So it's not pleasant. We'll say that, but it's
Oh my God, did I just make that worse for you?
Oh no. It's not that. It's nothing like that. It's but if
I go, Michelle.
Emotionally scarring authors.
I guess I message you guys tomorrow.
Never going on their podcast again.
No, but I wake up like just blood curdling, screaming, attacking anybody who's like near me, touches me, anything like that. And my poor husband. I feel so bad for him. They don't happen super often anymore. But yeah, so I'm so intrigued by horror, but have never subjected myself to it except for Constantine with Keanu Reeves because I was obsessed with that movie. Which I don't even know if that really counts as horror. It really doesn't, but it's more supernatural, I guess. But I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Hey, the first scary movie, and I'm doing the air quotes, that I ever watched that I considered very scary was the like 90s Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie.
Oh, okay.
And I considered that like terrifying. And so, Constantine definitely qualifies as a horror movie.
That'd probably be like right on par for me now.
When I was 8 years old, my babysitter was like, "We're gonna watch the when it was on as a miniseries." She's like, "We're gonna watch it. We gotta watch it," and they let me watch it. Her and her friend let me watch it with them. And my mom came home in the middle of it, and my mother was furious.
Oh,
as she should be, because I was 8 years old and I should not be watching stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that turned me off for a long time to horror.
Yeah. That was me when I was I think I was like 10, and we were in Las Vegas of all places, and my brother and I were in the hotel room. So he's like 14, and it was on the, let's just to be like abundantly clear, this movie, don't even remember the name of it. It was on the Disney Channel, guys. Okay. So it couldn't have been that scary, but it was about this group of teenagers, and they're in the forest, and there are these like giant leech tick things that attach to their backs and like suck their blood.
No.
For years. Like we would be snorkeling, okay, and in the ocean, doing our thing in the Caribbean. My brother had his was scuba qualled, so I'd go down there and buddy breathe with him, like off of he had like an extra regulator. And he would like reach behind me with his hand while we're down at the bottom of the ocean.
Nope.
And like attack my back, like, and do this. And I would just like, you've never seen somebody swim to the surface so fast.
Nope.
That's a hard pass for me.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah. So that scarred me for many, many, many years.
I can understand that one. Yes.
My black cat pushed the door open to the office. He's like strutting around in here.
I know, Chips. We must have been making too much noise. I have earbuds, so he can only hear me. I must be making too much noise for Chips. He went and laid down somewhere else.
He's like, I've had enough of this.
Yes, I'm done. So I know we're coming up on our hour here.
Rapid fire questions, quick.
It's the lightning round.
Lightning round.
Do we have to do our super serious?
Yes.
Yeah. Our survey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Adjust the glasses for
this
this.
is where we get like super serious.
Very scientific. Very like bring it in.
Okay. Ready.
Okay, you go, Diana.
I go. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you do it.
All right. So I write historical fiction, and I am very much a plotter. Everything has to be plotted out. I thrive off of that. But in my real world, outside of that, I am, as Michelle likes to call me, Queen of Chaos. I am okay with chaos. Chaos can happen. I'm okay with that. Michelle, on the other hand, she just, when she sits down at the computer to write, whatever the characters decide is what happens. She's as surprised as they are about the plot and everything. But in her real life, she likes to have everything nice and neat and orderly. We do not do change in Michelle's world.
No, we don't. We do lists. We like lists.
Mm-hmm. Whereas lists actually give me hives.
Okay. So utterly fascinating. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So now the question to you is: are you a plotter like me, or are you a pantser like Michelle? That's the first part of the question.
Am I allowed to say both? Because here's why. Here's why. Okay. I started out as a complete and total pantser, and if I could still write like that, I 100% would. Because I typically I go off vibes alone. Like that is what I start with, and so I'll start typing. Absolutely just nothing in mind, no plotting, no outline, nothing. And I'll write, up to 50,000 words like that. And maybe I'll get to 30,000 words. And I'm like, meh, I'm good. not my thing. But that being said, I learned, because that's how I wrote Unfortunate Side Effects. That's how I've written and how I wrote the 3 books before that. That being said, when I edited this book, I learned so much through the editing process that I felt helped me work on my next book, implementing those things that I learned so that I don't make the same mistakes again. So like, for example, with this book that I'm writing with my best friend, it is outlined completely and totally. This is not because of me. I mean, I wrote the outline, but this is because this is my best friend. And he is like, he's the high level guy. And so he knows everything that's happening. And so he tells me, and I'm just like, type sounds good. And then, we just go off of that and that works for us. But so it's a little bit of both. Like, I like to have the freedom. I don't mind having an outline. Obviously makes the writing go so much faster. Like this next book, the Charmed inspired book, I wrote in about 30, like a month and a half, let's just say. It was about how long it took me. Because I wrote the whole synopsis. It was very detailed and just went from there. But I am, like I said, very type A, very OCD. My lists have lists. Okay.
Yes.
Like I cannot go to sleep if the house is messy. I am very like neat, orderly. That being said, I also hate structure and routine.
We all have our interesting quirks.
I tried to put my daughter, so she's my 10-year-old is homeschooled and she loves being home. We travel a lot and that's one of the main reasons that she's homeschooled. But this year or this semester, I was like, let's sign you up for some classes just once a week, like in-person charter school classes. You can choose what classes you want. One of the classes she chose was Hogwarts, where like they go through different classes at Hogwarts. Like they learn about herbology and then they learn about like the Latin roots and suffixes for spells and stuff like that. Super cool.
Oh.
Yeah. Super fun. But I don't like being tied into things.
And you're like, oh, it's Tuesday. I have to go at 9 o'clock.
And I'm like, what have I done? And she's like, because she could take it or leave it. She knows. She's like, do I have to go this week? And I'm like, you certainly don't. I don't want to go. Yeah.
100%
I'm
do
like
not.
totally all over the place when it comes to that. Some plotting, some pantsing, some organization, some like utter chaos. It really depends. I'm an enigma.
I can appreciate that though, because we did dance class for my daughter, and it was Mondays at 6, and I learned a very valuable lesson that year that we did that, which was do not schedule an after school program where there is enough time to go home in between.
No,
because once you go home, you don't want to leave the house again.
No way.
And I was like, and then so when we did gymnastics, dance only lasted a year. So gymnastics, we did gymnastics last year, and that was at like 4 o'clock. So I went straight from school to gymnastics.
Yes.
I'm like, because once we're home, the sweats go on, and no one's going anywhere. If the sweats ever came off to begin with during the day, they may not have.
They may not have. It's really anybody's guess,
right?
I feel that.
I could go to drop off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon in the exact same clothes, and no one would know.
So for homeschool, they are assigned like a teacher that oversees their work, and you have to meet with them once a month and blah, blah, blah. And she came up the other day and I was wearing like Mickey Mouse sweatpants and like a t-shirt or what, and my Crocs, which I also have on currently. And she was like, your followers know that you dress like this? And I'm like, they sure do.
100%.
I show up in all various forms.
I think it's a wonderful thing about like social media now is that the whole like image and everything has to be perfect. Like pre-pandemic has gone away.
Amen.
Because I can just show up with my hair up in a bun and be like, listen. And like show up. I've done a few TikToks where I'm at Disneyland.
That's awesome.
Because I'm like, yes, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Disney adult. There's no shame in that.
Yes, I'm so excited. We're going next month, and I'm literally counting down the days, and I have Disney bound outfits planned for every day. Yes, I do.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so exciting.
Yeah, I cannot wait. It's for my children, sure, but for me.
Sure.
Now,
Yeah.
not all of us have
Yeah,
children yet, so we
the
still
trip.
show up
Yes,
and
yes.
just like we
Hello,
yeah.
proud Disney adult. I'm sorry. It's me.
The trip we did to Disney World last year was 100% for my kids too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I wanted, they
Enrichment.
demanded we go find the stepsisters immediately. That was all them. I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's so fun.
So anyway,
Tangent number 8.
it's
It's true, isn't it?
we have had so much, like, I feel like we could just like keep going and maybe talk, but we've had so much fun, and the unfortunate side effects of heartbreak and magic um, is of course now out in the world. And you can, if you haven't read it, we actually haven't really spoiled a whole lot.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of plot twist still to be discovered. So if you haven't read it, you can always check out the show notes in our the link in our show notes. There you go. And order your own copy from our bookshop on bookshop.org. As always, bookshop.org supports our incredible writers. It supports the podcast. But most importantly, it supports all of the wonderful indie bookstores out there. And Breanne, you're just a part of the Wyman Words family now.
Oh,
so
this was
you're
so
just
awesome.
gonna have to come back.
Yes, I would love
because
to come back.
You're stuck with us now.
Yeah.
Oh, drat.
we haven't implemented it. Next year is actually the first year. We're gonna make it happen, right?
We're gonna have to try and make that
Okay.
happen. Yeah.
So we've been doing this podcast for 8 years now.
Mhm.
And we started this joke. I don't even know how long ago, but we started this joke that if you come, you have a punch card. Why one word's punch card. And when you come on the show 5 times, then 6th time we come to you. And we have had our first author on the show 5 times.
It will be 5 times next
Gee.
year. And I'm like, Michelle, we got to go to Massachusetts.
So now we have to go to her house.
Literally,
Have to
this is
go.
the best idea I've ever heard of.
Yeah,
Have to
it's
do
a put up
this.
or shut up moment. It really
Yes,
is.
like now we've talked about it so much that we
Yes.
have to do it.
Oh,
And I love driving up to Northern California because I'm in Southern California.
oh, are
so-
you? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, you're a good drive for me, Michelle. You're just gonna have to come out. And
I'll just fly out and we'll road trip it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm free for the next like 5 weeks, so one a week should be good.
Just write. We'll do short stories, right? So
There we go,
write
there
a
we go.
short story. Right, a short story from a different sibling.
There we go. There we go. Done.
We are here. We offer writing advice. We do story ideas. We're a multi-service podcast.
I love it.
But
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to like seriously nerd out with us about hand flexes and everything.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun. I can't wait to be on again in the hopefully near future.
Yes, we'll have to have you on for your next.
Rope and symbolism. Trying to think of everything that we've got.
If you would
And
like
we
to
don't
pick
need
up
no
your
fucking
copy
rope.
of the unfortunate side
Symbolism.
effects of heartbreak
Symbolism.
and magic, please go
Symbology.
to our show notes
Oh
and
no.
pick up your copy from
Thank you so
bookshop.org.
much. Have a
As
great
always,
rest of your
bookshop.org
night.
supports
You
this
too.
podcast.
Thanks, ladies.
The wonderful
Bye.
authors
Bye.
that take their time to come and join us, and also the many independent bookstores out there. Also, if you've already purchased your copy but want to support the podcast, you can buy us a cup of coffee through the link for Ko-fi. For only $3, you can help support this podcast.